and I'll turn the time over to TK.
Hey everyone, how are you? I'm so excited to be teaching this class today. It's really exciting to me because it's a totally new tool that I'm getting used to using, and now I only want to use it. I only want to be a mug maker, even though technically I'm a jewelry maker. So where's everybody from today? If you want to drop a little line and say what city you're from, I would love to know. I'm very interested. But this class is going to be specifically on these mugs. My name is, oh, hi, Mary from Maryland. My name is TK Tunches, and I'm from Guatemala. So this is a really fun project for me because I know growing up, I didn't get to see a lot of things that were being made that featured Spanish sayings or dichos. And I see folks here from Florida, from San Francisco, from California. Hi, Keiko, how are you? Keiko's a good friend of mine, a local vendor, a local artist. Thank you for joining us. She also makes amazing mugs. I'd be really interested to see what her process is like. So these are the mugs that you're seeing that we're gonna be making today. And I'll show you down here too. They say, yo hago lo que me da la gana, which means I do what I want, basically, what I have the will to do. And a really important, I think, saying for me, because it represents my culture in terms of my own ability to be resilient and to create my own future and to do what I want in the world. So I'm excited about showing you this process. We are going to start. How many of you already have a Cricut maker at home? If you can just put your little, I think you can put your little hand icon up. I'm pretty sure that's something that you can do in this platform. Oh, I'm hoping that you guys have, yay, 2 of you have Cricut makers at home. So if you don't have a Cricut maker already at home, I'm using the traditional Cricut maker, and it's an amazing, amazing tool. Like if you guys don't already have one, I would highly recommend that you get one. You can, there's different styles of them. I have the traditional one. It costs around $300, maybe $275 sometimes. And it gives you the opportunity to make a billion different kinds of projects. The Explorer, yeah, I haven't used the Explorer myself, but I know that a lot of people do use them and that they're all wonderful tools, to be honest with you. So this is a traditional maker, and you use, which comes with a program which you install on your computer, and you connect your computer to the maker, and you are able to use any of the templates that they provide for you. I made my own template for this project because I wanted a specifically unique and in Spanish template. So I used a different program, saved my file, and then imported it in. There is a mug setting in the maker in the Cricut program, and we are using the 12-ounce straight edge mug setting. So one of the other things that I did is that I actually use one of these papers. So they come, this is an Infusible-Ink project. I'll show you the paper that I used. It's open because I used it. I already started working with it. So, and it's awesome because it shows you, this is what it looks like before, this is what it looks like after. These are specifically Infusible inks. Can you guys see them? Can everybody see? These are infusible inks. So what's going to happen is that you're going to cut it out of with your maker onto this paper. And then with the paper, you're going to apply it to the mug. And I'm going to walk you through all of these processes in just a minute. And then you're going to use your Cricut mug maker to adhere the ink, the infusible ink, onto the mug. So this is the paper that we're going to use today. But it also comes in a shorter size. And these are, it says it's ideal for the Cricut Mug Press. And the size of this paper, if you want to do, there's several different templates that you can use, but the size of this paper, you don't have to cut. I did cut this pink paper, and I also cut it in green because I wanted to make the project. out of the larger paper. I like to buy the larger paper. I just wanted more space. And when I cut it, I measured the size that we would be using, which is basically 4 inches by almost 9. You can see a little bit over 8. And what I found really amazing about this paper is that there's a graph on the back of the paper already. And so you could just follow the lines of the graph to be able to cut the paper, which made it super easy to be able to measure how much I needed. So I did the first one without cutting it, like I'm showing you here. I don't know if you can see that it's already cut. And then I knew exactly how much paper I needed. And so I just cut a few other papers down to size. I wanted to show you this. I also was not so careful the first time that I cut it, and I made a mistake. And so I cut it too short. This is the mistake paper. But just kind of like a warning to make sure that you are actually measuring. So maybe the first time you try your project, you use the whole paper, you don't cut it, and then you're able to see exactly how much you need. So I went ahead and put the template in, used the Cricut already. This is what the file looks like when it's been cut into your paper. So the setting is Infusible-Ink. It's a preset setting, and you just load the Cricut Maker or Explore, and through here, it walks you through it. It's super simple. It takes, I think, less than 60 seconds to cut the entire file. And then you get this at the end. And so the process after this is called weaving, and we're going to weave part of this right now so that you guys can see what it looks like. So the file has been cut, right? I always like to, in the other papers, as you can see, I cut them shorter, so we don't even need to do this part, but with this one, I didn't. And so I'm just gonna cut off the edges. Super simple. And then I'm using this tool, which comes with your Cricut. I know it comes with the Cricut Maker. I'm not sure if it comes with the Cricut Explore. Does it have a shiny side? Yes. So when you're making your project, and that's a great question, Deborah, because when I was trying to make this template, I could not figure out which side to put down and adhere. So you want to adhere this side, the clear side. When you set up the project, you want to turn the mirror on so that it mirrors the project onto the paper. So it's going to cut it basically backwards. You'll see when I start weaving it that these words are all backwards. And then you adhere the shiny side onto your mat, not this paper side. So right now, I had already set up another one to cut it if you guys wanted to see me practice cutting it at the end. This has the shiny side down and then the mat up. So that's a great question. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna start weaving, taking out out of the extra paper that you do not want. And this project, as you can see, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Hold on one second. I completely forgot I was actually drinking coffee. As you can see with that project, I'm gonna start another one. As you can see with that project, we were already, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry and I'm so embarrassed, y'all. We were already doing the project on the other, I'm gonna show you this part. We were already doing the project only with this color. So you're not actually going to use the paper on the outside, you're only going to use the letters. So you're weaving everything else out of the project. And I had already done this here. That's the beeping of the Cricut mug, because you have to turn on this, the mug maker and let it warm up. So we've already started to do that. It's giving me a warning to turn it off. So when you weed it out, basically what you're doing is you're weeding out all of the sections of the actual letters that you are going to use, or what you want the ink to be on the actual mug. Does that make sense? Also, thank you so much for saying that you've been there, done that, because I really appreciate that. So with the weaving process, what you're weaving out is, and we can do it, well, here's one more reason to kind of see what it looks like. We'll print it, we'll do a printout. And I'm sorry it got wet, so it got a little ruined, but basically what you're going to be taking out is everything that is you do not want to be printed onto the mug. And we'll just do it again at the end because I made a mistake here, so you'll be able to see the whole thing. But hopefully you can see I'm taking this all out. And I had already started this process earlier. So this is it all weeded out. And when it's weeded out, it has a sticky, shiny paper that's on the back, right? And you're just gonna adhere it to the mug. And so when you adhere it to the mug, it's like a plastic, it's like a tape, right? I can't see all the comments, but I think you guys are talking about the inks. Yeah, there's a billion different color inks, right? And you adhere it to the mug, and then you take the mug and you put it in the machine. So the machine is warming up. It will turn off automatically, like it turned off right now for us, if it doesn't think that you're using it, which is awesome. The other thing that you want to make sure you have is this mat. Let me move it forward so you guys can see. This mat is really great for protecting all of your heat surfaces, and it will get very hot. So you do want to make sure that you're using your mug maker, and also your mugs when they're done, placing them on top of the mat. And the mat, you can get it anywhere. I think folks are talking about the colors. Are there any other questions before while we wait for this? This is the one that I made a mistake on, so I'm going to show you what it looks like to weave it. I always do this while it's on the mat because I find it easier than taking it off and then using it. I don't know if other people have experience with that, but for me personally, I like to do the weeding when it's still adhered to the mat. What is the mat? It's literally called like the Cricut mat. And you can find it. I got everything at Michael's, obviously. So Michael's has every single thing that you can possibly want for the Cricut. We're gonna put this in, and super simple. I wanna make sure you all can see. Literally take your mug. Take your mug, place it in. So this will be open. Place it in, and just make sure your paper is flat. And then press this down, and this is what's going to secure the mug inside of the maker. Do you have a link to the mat? I think that probably somebody that's moderating can throw the link in there. Yes, awesome. This mat is also wonderful if you're using vinyl and adhesing it to any kind of clothing for the steam press. So any kind of pressing that you're doing, anything that you need heat for, I highly, highly recommend that you get this mat. And I can't see any of the other questions, but all we're waiting for right now is for the machine to finish. So if you have any questions, now would be a great time to ask. Yes, it's the same mat used for the Easy Press. Absolutely. Maddie, I don't know if I missed any other questions.
I'm not seeing many questions. We were discussing the different infusible ink transfer sheets that were available, and they
I
are
have
all
a
available
ton
at
of them.
myquilts.com.
I wanted to see all of the colors, so here's one packet. This is the packet that I used for this mug. So you can see it kind of has like an ombre effect to it.
So they make the smaller boxes as well as the larger boxes, and the smaller ones are made for the Joy. Is that correct?
No, the smaller boxes you can also use in the regular Cricut.
Gotcha. It's just cut down to size.
Yes, and so the ultimate thing that you can do is you do not have to use just the letters, right? You can actually make the mug fuller of color if you want, and then like remove the letter part or remove the design part. So it would be inverted. I think that those smaller sheets are really great for that kind of design.
So you're actually not leaving any sort of vinyl or anything on the mug. It's like the dye is being transferred to the mug.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And you're gonna see the process as soon as the mug maker is done. What's happening is the mug, basically the ink is being infused through a process called sublimation onto the mug. I can't see the questions.
We have a few people asking if you're going to make your design available because they love this design and they'd like to put it on a t-shirt.
Oh, thanks for asking. I was just telling the ladies, the moderators, that I am happy to make the design available. I've actually never done it before, but I'm happy to create the template and y'all can use it.
So if we get that link from you, TK, then we'll put it in the description of the recording on the YouTube video that'll be uploaded tomorrow.
Awesome, that's perfect. Thank you for asking. While we wait for this, I think it's gonna take maybe one more minute. I wanna hear from you all if you have ever made mugs before.
I know that the Cricut Mug Press is pretty new, and a lot of people were really excited when it first came out. So I'm also really interested to see how many people went out and grabbed one.
Not yet. It's literally, I mean, honestly, it's one of the fastest and most fun things that I can do. I imagine that if you have some, oh, that's exciting. You just bought a mug press. Yes. They're super fun. If you have any graphic design experience, I think that they're a really, really fun item to own. And I think that for me, what I really enjoy about it is actually the thinking of color in inversion, if that makes sense. So like thinking about the image and how to like, for me, I'm kind of like, I want to stick to one color when I'm making them, but I know that people do all kinds of different designs with them too. Yeah, the colors come out great. You can use more than one color. Do we need to place them in the mug press at the same time, or does each color need to be completed separately? I believe that you can put them all in at the same time. I wanted to stick to one color and really get that process down, but I've watched a ton of YouTube how-tos on them, and I've seen people do them at the same time. Use the Cricut mini press to put the design on the mug. I don't think that you can, Belinda, because this process is specifically infusible ink. And so the process of sublimation, I think, has to happen with this mug maker. I'm not sure if the moderators know better than me, but from what I understand, no.
You know, you can always try something out and then tag Michaels and say, hey, I got this to work, and we'd be really interested to see if you made something.
I would be interested too. Tag me too. And the products and the idea of the designing, we plan on getting a maker and the mug press hopefully soon. Yeah, the makers are amazing. If you're doing any kind of graphic design work, it's done. It's going to open up. So it's hot, right? So be careful.
And I was looking online to see what other types of mugs we carry, and it looks like you're using a 12 ounce, but there's also 15 ounce, and there's also a few color variations with like a black internal. So you can really come up with some pretty cool designs.
So I don't know if you saw, super simple, just lifted up the lid, and I'm gonna take the mug out, and it is hot. So I'm gonna leave it here just for a few minutes for it to cool down. And basically what they say is, you know, like let it cool down to the touch before you do anything else. In the meantime, I don't know if there's anything in specific that you want to see. We could try to do the cutting if you want to see that. It's a little bit more, it's a little bit harder to do with the kind of recording that we're doing right now.
Do you have any other mugs that you could show us that you've done?
I only have, this mug is in green, right? And I have this one, and then I have the one with my coffee that I just spilled. But I kept the design the same and just tried out all the different colors.
Have there been any mugs that you've made that were kind of flops and you learned that you probably could not make that design happen on there or anything like that?
There's designs that I made that I didn't infuse because I don't like to I like to like narrow in on each process. And so what I did learn, what I find is that the larger the design, the easier it is to weed. And so there were a couple designs that I started with and that I was looking at, and it was very hard to get the detail out. So if you look at these ones, these are very bold details. And you can actually see from this first one, I don't know if you can see the detail in it. Where, can you see this little line? Can you guys see this little line?
Really faint white line on there?
A little faint white line. And that faint white line is actually this. So you can see that I forgot to weave the middle part out.
Gotcha. Do you feel like, I was going to ask, do you feel like there's any bleeding with the sublimation, or does it get really precise?
No, I think it's like, it's actually amazing. I don't see any bleeding in it. We're gonna try this green paper as soon as this cools down, but I don't see any bleeding in it. I do like the darker colors because I feel like they contrast better. And I think that what I've seen, I didn't bring a mug with me, but I did make a mistake on one of them where I basically feel like I just didn't press the paper on exactly tight enough. And then it did look a little bit like it was like a little blurry. But besides that, no. Yeah, it's very, very precise, whoever's saying that.
We have one person asking if there's a way to add photos to the mug using a Cricut. Have you thought of anything like that?
I haven't personally, but I do think that I've seen them on other people, so I just haven't done enough research of them. I really like to use original graphic design, and I'm really into typography, so that was what I was focusing on.
Some people were saying you could use a sublimation printer to print the photo.
Oh, cool.
So you might have to, I don't think you'd be able to print it exactly with the Cricut machine, but I could be wrong.
Yeah.
We have another question. Is hand washing always recommended for these mugs, or can they go in the washing machine?
No, I've been using this mug since I made it, and I've been throwing it in the washing machine. I'm probably like the worst at hand washing ever. And it's been totally fine. I think it's one of the things that like is my favorite part of this project.
Yeah, that's really big, because I know that if you use a transfer or a regular vinyl or something, eventually it will peel up.
Yes, and I've done a ton of like, maybe get stickers and put them on things where I want to use my own design, right? And I'm not able to do it. I'm not able to guarantee that they won't remove. And this, I've seen absolutely no issues with it. Like, it's really been an amazing product to use. Like I said, I'm a maker, and for those of you that don't know, I'm actually somebody who sells my wares. So when I started off making this project, I started it as somebody who has an interest in developing a line of mugs that I can sell. So I want to make sure that those mugs are marketable, that there's something that I feel confident that I can send to market, that I feel like my customers can take home and use however they want to. And I definitely feel confident in that. Oh, thank you, Maddie. So I'm super excited about this. I'm like just waiting for this to cool down. It's still kind of warm. Do y'all have any other questions?
Haven't seen any questions yet. So your Etsy and your Instagram, and where else can people find you on social media?
Facebook. I run a local marketplace. It's called Free to Friday ATX. I would suggest that you check that out as well. We have a ton of, we work with about 200 different artists a year. Keiko is one of them. So it's an honor to have her in this class. She's an amazing graphic designer as well. I think it's really exciting to share community with other creatives, and also to be able to share products with other creatives, because I know that it's hard to identify products that are worth your while to invest in, and I definitely would recommend this one. So this is only good for graphics mostly, or any cutting using vinyl. I'm sorry, y'all, I'm trying to read the question. This is only good for graphics mostly, or any cutting using vinyl.
So I think they're asking if the transfer ink is better or if the vinyl is better for graphic design. But I think you'll really achieve the same look using any type. But we were saying that on the mugs, we liked the graphic kind of typography, graphic design look.
There's a lot of, let me show you the box. Let me get you the box so that you guys can see. You go into the design space, and Belinda, I see your comment about wanting to see it go through the actual process. I think what I can do is once I figure out how to upload the template, you'll be able to see it a little bit more. But if you look at the actual box, so what I think that this product works really well with is kind of bold designs. And there's a billion different, like, we're just kind of giving you the like tip of the ice in terms of what colors they have available for you. So there are a ton of different inks. So the one thing I will say, and then the reason we're being really patient right now, is I don't want to pull off the plastic until it's actually ready, but it's getting there. The other thing that I use is just this ink transfer tape, and you can get it, Michael sells it as well. And if you look at the mug right now, like there were a couple places that I just placed it on top of the mug. Can you see it? Just to make sure the paper is adhered really tight. So very, very simple project. I'm just testing it out to see. So you're gonna lift this up, and if it's cool enough, it will come off, but it's not. So let's give it a couple more minutes.
Have you tried putting it in the fridge or something, or do you think that would mess it up?
I don't want to rush it. But what we could do while we're waiting for that is actually cut out the other side. Do you want to see the other side cut out?
Sure.
Okay, let's do it. So I'm gonna move this out of the way. And these are the inks, these are the papers that I cut, that I pre-cut. So I'm not sure how many of you have already used the Cricut. Like I said, super simple process. This is the one that got wet, so let me take it off here. Putting the paper onto here. I'm just gonna take this off of here real quickly. And this one I already added on top. I already set up the project. So I'm gonna switch screens really quickly. Can I use, if I printed a photo on sublimation paper, can I use the mug press? I would give it a try for sure. I wouldn't say like try it. And I'm not sure if you all can see what's happening. Can you see, Maddie?
The Cricut being fed in right now?
Yes. So we just fed the paper right into the Cricut. And now I'm hitting the, I'm so sorry, I can't see what you can see, but I'm hitting the Cricut button. And it's because I already have the template all set that it will happen.
We did have a question in Design Space. I'm not too familiar with Design Space, so I'm not sure if this is what they're asking. They said, do you use slice or do you use attach? You know what
that's a great question. So the way that I did it, because if you're gonna do a mug specifically, right, there are presets for templates for mugs. I imported my design and then just put it on top of the template. That's the easiest way to do it. Once you've done that, you're literally just going through the process of making the project. It's L. Hearn that's asking the question. Have you used the Cricut Design Space before? I made the project out of the Cricut Design Space. I pre-made the project. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. So because I pre-made the project, I didn't have to go through the same process as creating it inside of the design space. Yes, I've done slice, but I think others have said attach. So because I use a different program, I used an Illustrator program to create the design. I just imported that design and then I attached it on top of the actual cutout. It's a kind of, I think that is in and of itself a whole class, to be honest with you. Because but if you don't want to do all of that, if you just want to use a template that's already created, there's a ton of them already available in the Cricut Design Space. Does that make sense? Also, let's do this. So this is gonna cut the project. And there might be an overlap here, but it's pretty simple. While it's cutting that out, I'm gonna try to fill it. So the mug is cool. I'm gonna start taking it off. Can you see my hands?
Yes, they're in frame.
So the paper is coming off super easy. And that's it.
Oh, that color is so bright.
Yeah, it's really bright. So this is the paper itself when you put it on, and this is what the paper looks like.
It's much darker.
In the mug.
But that's why on the box, there's the square that has the before and after, so you can see what the end result will look like, right?
So this is, oh, this is the green. It has, I don't know why it says, I guess this is just an example because it says before and then after, but this is the actual color of the mug.
Oh, yeah, it's closer to the after.
Yeah.
Nice.
And that's it. That's the entire project. Then you just throw this away. And you have a new mug to drink out of. Any questions? I'm so sorry, I can't see the last.
No questions. Couldn't you arrange all the words in a font from Design Space and weld them together to fit the template area? I think you can create your own custom designs in Design Space.
You can, absolutely. In the Design Space, you can create whatever you want. I do want to say that what I found, because I wanted to use my own, I wanted to use a font that wasn't available in the Design Space. I created it outside of the actual Design Space and then brought it in. But I also found that there are many templates to create. The template that I used, which was kind of like the standard mug create, didn't give you as many options in terms of the font itself, but it did give you other options in terms of sizing. And I'm sure that if you're more familiar with the actual Design Space, you'd be able to create whatever look you want. I know, it's amazing how fast it actually makes the mug. Yeah, I think the thing that you're waiting for the longest is just for it to cool down, to be honest with you. I'd be interested in trying what Maddie suggested and putting it in the fridge.
I know, it makes me wonder if that would affect the look at all.
Yeah. When are you going to start selling this? You know, I think I'm going to give you guys the template for free. And then I think that I'm probably not going to sell this exact mug, but I do really love them. I enjoy making them. And I love this green. I agree with you. I want to make them in all the different colors, but the green for me is like so Christmassy and beautiful. Keiko, are you going to make the mugs? Are you going to try them out? I hope so. Do y'all have any other questions? From the feedback that I'm getting, I feel like we need to do a little workshop on like using the actual Cricut Design Space.
We do offer a few Cricut Design Space classes. Look out for those on Mondays. But TK, if you ever want to come back and show us how you import your custom designs into Design Space, I think that would be great.
Yeah, they're really fun to do. They're super easy. And again, I think that like these tools in terms of any graphic design that you're doing or really being able to invest in something that is a quality product are amazing tools. Design Space classes, awesome. I'm excited to look through the library too, Maddie, that you're mentioning. It's so easy. The Mug Press, like that really is like such a simple tool. And again, amazing safety features. It will turn off if it doesn't feel like you're using it after a while. Make sure you use your mat. Make sure you don't put coffee in your coffee mug. And then just make sure that you have your tools ready to go. But they're pretty quick. You can do more than one cut at a time. I'm just choosing to do one cut at a time on each one because I wanted to show you how they were done pretty easily. But you can set up your design to cut 2 or 3 at the same time. And that's all.
Awesome. Well, if there are no more questions, Tika, will you let everyone know one more time where they can find you if they want to send you questions or shop from your store?
Absolutely. They can find me on Instagram at Las Ofrendas. That's the easiest way to find me. And I would love to see your projects. We did a class on resin earrings and so many people sent me their projects and it was super exciting to me. So I really enjoy getting to see what you all make. Thank you all so much for tuning in and paying attention and bearing with me. I know that it's a really, really simple project, but I know that it does take some technology to figure it out. So I'm here. If you have questions, feel free to shoot me a message. And I'm so glad to make your acquaintance.
Thank you so much, everyone.
All right, have a great day, y'all.